For 55 years, the Israel Museum has been a beacon of cultural exchange, a hub of artistic innovation and historical discovery, and a joyful place for learning and sharing. But this year has been like no other. And like you, we've had to face this global crisis head-on. Even as so much remains uncertain, we're still so grateful to our artists for the insights they've offered, the experiences they've created, and the art they've shared with us at the Israel Museum over the years. To our staff for their tireless efforts to keep everyone safe, to sustain the museum and find innovative ways to fulfill its mission. And to you for your ceaseless support, especially through these challenging times. And for this, we say thank you. We hope to see you again soon.
Hello, my name is Olafur Eliasson. I'm sending this message from my studio here in Berlin. A work of art which I did at the Israel Museum some years ago is a sort of a color spectrum on the wall. I believe the title is Whenever the Rainbow Appears. And it is based on all the colors you find in white light. That means daylight. And if you have warmer daylight, it's slightly different, a cooler daylight, and so on and so forth. So it's actually never the same depending on where you are. I think the rainbow introduces a suggestion that the ephemeral, the things we can't measure, the non-quantifiable, have qualities to it as well. And as a museum, obviously the artifacts and the significance of them are amazing, but the trust I have in institutions are profoundly based on the questions that one can ask in them. A great museum gives you answer, but an amazing museum has the courage to ask questions. And I believe that in the evolving country of Israel, the Israel Museum is a fundamental part of deciding, well, who are we, what are we, and why are we? I wish you all well. Thank you so much. Olafur here. Bye.
My name's Sharon Lockhart. I'm an artist living in Los Angeles, California. I had a solo exhibition at the Israel Museum in 2011 called Sharon Lockhart, Noah Eshkol. It was a great experience on so many levels. Through research at the museum, I came upon the work of a contemporary artist, Noah Eshkol, who had died the year before. This led me to researching her archive and working with her dancers, and it was a 3-year collaboration which culminated in the exhibition. Noah Eshkol was somewhat of an overlooked figure. In the late 50s, she collaborated with Abraham Bachman to create the Eshkol-Bachman movement notation system, the only notation system capable of describing all animal locomotion. Together with the dancers, we made a 5-channel video installation featuring 5 of her choreographic compositions, as well as a number of her textile works, which she called wall carpets. The work I made would not have come to fruition without the Israel Museum. The architecture provided a scale I had not often worked with, and the museum's curators and staff were extremely helpful in facilitating what is the most complex video installation I have done to date. I'm so happy that my work sparked new interest in Noah Eshkol's work. The dancers have performed all over the world, and none of this would have happened without my exhibition at the Israel Museum. I urge you to support this museum and its cultural mission.
I couldn't be more excited to have my work included in the Israel Museum permanent collection. For me, having my voice amplified globally and having the things that I'm concerned about and the critical ideas that my work hopefully allows to gestate and travel to places to which it can be received differently is really the nature of what I hope my project can do. And being in an institution that has so much critical understanding and so much desire to depict the global narrative that contemporary artists are helping unpack is, for me, the ideal location for work like mine. So for me, it's really exciting.
This is Ai Weiwei. In 2017, I had a show in Israel Museum. initiated by James Schneider, and the whole exhibition planned and structured within half the year. And it's very impressive in terms of how quickly and how responsibly the museum team and James managed to achieve it. I think the museum functions very important in this part of the world, and it's for classic traditions, artifacts, history of the land, and also contemporary practice. The exhibitions and art activities at this time is very crucial, very important, and we understand the humanity and the human struggles and the positive part of creativity. I think, therefore, we should support the art exhibitions in the Israel Museum. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi everyone.
Hello, dear American friends of the Israel Museum.
My name is Oded Rachamim.
My name is Noam Gal.
Orna Granot.
Miki Yoelson.
I'm Adina Kamian.
Hello, my name is Michael Magen.
Eran Aryeh.
Ani Lopez. Efrat Asaf Shapira.
I'm the curator of the Iron Age and Persian period department in the archaeology wing.
The curator in charge of the Jewish life cycle objects and Jewish dress.
The head of paper conservation in the Israel Museum.
I'm the head of the photography department.
The assistant to the chief curator of Jewish Art and Life wing.
The head of security and contingency department.
And I'm editor of English publications.
Curator for over 20 years.
Working here at the museum for the last 14 years.
16 years.
12 years.
I've been here half my life, or more than half my life.
Over 2 decades, forever it seems like.
The oldest Bible in Hebrew, the Aleppo Codex.
Original prints from the entire history of the medium of photography.
A collection of children's books from all over the world, toys and games and dolls.
Jewelry from different communities around the world, comprising more than 1,500 objects.
My department deals with the biblical period from about 1200 BCE to 3300.
Jewelry boxes from Algeria, from India, from Yemen.
This mold of a mask that was found in Achziv in the northern shore.
This guy here.
The diary of the first Israeli astronaut, Ilan Ramon. The only known document that returned from orbit.
It's a Torah ark curtain for Yom Kippur. It's a bridal skirt that the brides would donate their skirts to serve as a cover for a coffin.
What I find exciting is the story that these objects tell.
For me personally, this story binds together the individual and the community.
It's just a reminder for us that art is this amazing thing that could take our imagination far, far away, even in such dire times.
The mingling together of sadness and of hope.
For me, the museum is the best workplace in the world, thanks to the magnificent artworks and the stuff.
And we love our work here, and it's a home away from home.
I still have to pinch myself when I walk into the museum every morning and realize that I'm actually paid to do what I do.
You know, all these wonderful riches, all this amazing trove that is surrounding me now is here thanks to you.
We thank you for your involvement and for the donations of works of art and funds that enable such exhibitions at the Israel Museum.
I would like to send you best regards from the Gallery of Biblical Times, and I hope you will come again soon and visit us in the Israel Museum.
Hi, I'm Doug Starn. I'm Mike. In 2014, we lived in Jerusalem for 8 weeks while we and our crew created the largest of our bamboo sculptures, 5,000 Arms to Hold You. We returned the next year for a couple weeks to transform that sculpture into Strange Loop, a double helix tower. Our work is about chaotic interdependence and continually changing circumstances that never end. And while we were there, both our families visited and each of our daughters were bat mitzvahed at the museum under our sculpture. We love the museum. We worked with our gender equal crew of 25 people and had local Israeli and Palestinians, as they prefer to be called, on our crew. The Palestinian crew had a difficult commute from their homes to the museum, going through checkpoints and questioning as they left their neighborhoods. At one point, we discovered that they actually thought they were not allowed into the museum building itself and could only stay outside in the garden. We told James Snyder about that, and he personally came out and sat and talked with them and invited them inside, gave them tours of the building and the exhibitions. It's not the Israeli Museum, it's the Israel Museum, and it's about culture of the region, for and about everyone of the region. It's so special, it's so important to open doors.
This is Analia Saban, and I'm an artist in the collection of the Israel Museum. I remember the first time at the Israel Museum. I went to mainly see the Dead Sea Scrolls. I have read so much about them, and then it was very exciting to see them and to see this incredible building that houses them. What I didn't know is how important the other collections were in the museum. So the next visit, the first thing I saw when I walked into the gallery was this huge Tom Wasserman painting of a big sandwich, and it's cheese and salami and tomatoes and lettuce. And I remember very well looking at this painting, and because I had such a wrong image of the museum and I was expecting more of a Jewish museum, I asked the curator at the time, I'm like, how come this painting is here? And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, it's not kosher. And of course she was laughing at me, and she explained very quickly how wrong I was about the museum and how it's a secular museum and it welcomes people from all different backgrounds, of course, and to have a secular place where we can have, a peaceful dialogue about art, about aesthetics, about content, about meanings, ideas, and it doesn't matter where we come from. And to have it in Israel, which is such a powerful place, it was very emotional to me, and it really just made me think a lot about what art can do. And then when my work entered the collection, it was a huge honor. And I'm proud of being part of the collection. I'm proud of participating in any way I can, because art for me that day became more important than ever.
Happy anniversary, Israel Museum, 55 years. I was with the museum, I traveled with the Friends of the Israel Museum on the 45th anniversary and had such an incredibly wonderful time. Made friendships there that I have to this day, that I'll have the rest of my life. I had my kitchen was on view, which is also a piece that was especially close to my heart. It's the first major piece I've ever made. So it was kind of like having your heart on view in a place. The Israel Museum, when I think of it, the first word that comes to mind is love. And I don't think there's anyone who is involved with the Israel Museum who doesn't just genuinely love it. It's a place where art is at the center, and surrounding that is the sense of community and friendships and family and love and laughter and so much fun. I feel so honored to be part of the history of the museum, to have had my work there. I did a project for the 45th anniversary called Gather, which was really a piece that was inspired by what I felt being in Israel. It was a piece about harvest, and it's these hand-threaded golden stalks that really were about the joy and the apotheosis of labor, which yields this celebration. And so it was a piece that really celebrated that. So I just feel really, I don't know, I guess right now, at this moment in time, so many of us are thinking about what truly matters in life, not just, it's just been a time of really culling, the kind of the falling away of what doesn't matter and the focus on what does. And it feels to me that what the museum stands for is everything that actually really matters, which is friendships and love and art and the continuation of history and tradition and the celebration of really truly what matters in life. So Happy anniversary, museum, Israel Museum.